they still think that a thought is not gated. The philosophers know DNA builds the body. But, they still declare the mind to be a mystery. While they know how the heart is built, they still do not know how a thought is gated. Have you heard about Ankyrin-G? The protein is as old as history and identical across species. It converts a generic cell into a neuron. Ankyrin-G is the component of the DNA code that controls the flow of nerve impulses. It is this protein, known to biologists, that builds the mind. But, no. The philosophers announce that consciousness is a closed mystery. DNA origin ANK3 gene provides the blueprint for Ankyrin-G. The protein provides the rigid hardware lattice at the axon initial segment, AIS, of every neuron. This lattice is known to be similar across species. With 190 nanometer spacing, the sodium and potassium channels in the lattice recognize only a particular combination of inputs. Higher electrical stimulation is known to move the lattice further down the axon, making it a more selective filter for higher stimuli. Do they know that human learning is about becoming more sensitive to the louder signals? They consider the recognition of an odor, or color, just a phenomenon. The Ankyrin-G grid is a precision-engineered 24-channel grid with a deterministic 190 nanometer spacing. This hardware is capable of recognizing the physical difference between high-threshold 12, 13, 14 channels as against low-threshold 12, 13, and 14. The grid is sensitive to the strength and spatial pattern of incoming ions striking this grid. The number of possible unique patterns in a single neuron exceeds the total number of atoms in the observable universe. With 86 billion of these AIS units functioning as dedicated logic gates, the brain forms a formidable pattern recognition model that resolves chaos into clarity. Do they still not know that their thoughts are gated by this physical reality? They still believe consciousness controls the mind. Do they still debate whether they have the freedom to choose? Libet proved decades ago that your motor neurons fire 350 milliseconds before you think you pressed a button. When you speak, you will not choose mistake for mistake. Your mind vetoes billions of chaotic inputs into one clean output. You only become conscious of your words after you speak. A hardware gate called Ankyrin-G at the base of your neurons has the capacity to eliminate millions of inappropriate choices. Everyone in biophysics knows the gate exists, we just forgot to tell the philosophers. They ignore the power of a swarm intelligence. The human mind sees a snake and screams. It identifies the object, feels emotions and acts. Each neuron is known to respond in 5 milliseconds. With an average of 1,000 links each, global communication is possible in the 86 billion neuron system in the reported 20 millisecond interval between seeing and screaming. With known synaptic gaps, those neurons are like bees in a swarm intelligence. The Ankyrin-G gates in each neuron can recognize trillions of patterns. They still consider the grace of a dancer, or the strokes of an artist, mediated by millions of neurons, an unfathomable mystery. They still have not visualized intuition to be a simple algorithm. For biology, the Ankyrin-G grid is a 24-channel hardware lock. With 24 channels capable of recognizing specific temporal sequences, the number of possible unique patterns in a single neuron exceeds the total number of atoms in the observable universe. Imagine that intuition is an elimination algorithm. If a single neuron identifies the quack of a duck, another the walk of a duck, the system eliminates all other known possibilities. It is a duck. The creak of a floorboard identifies a thief in the night. Human-level pattern recognition, the highest known level in the known universe, can work with Ankyrin-G and an elimination algorithm. Scientists and philosophers are yet to understand intuition. How about the ghost in the machine? Is the ghost in the machine still a problem? Who feels the joy and the despair? Imagine a pattern recognition machine which has circuits that enable it to recognize itself. Just as you identify a flower as belonging to a plant, you identify millions of your own thoughts, feelings, and emotions. The prefrontal brain regions can do exactly that. Is the ghost in the machine not an intelligence that can recognize all the objects in a room, and itself? My hand, my feelings, the twitch of my toe. They attribute mystic powers to an object that can just recognize itself. Ankyrin-G kills the mystery. How about human folly? They still point to foolish behavior as proof of the weird contradictions of the mind. But, human survival demanded heightened survival efforts. Fear drives you to run away or freeze instantly to hide from view of a tiger. Within a split second, muscles tense, heart rate spike, and potent neurochemicals are released. Anger adds strength and blinds you as you lash out against a marauder. But, across ages, civilizations learn to calm emotions. They still ignore the complex Ankyrin-G survival coding evidence visible in human emotions. Ankyrin-G controls the flow of nerve impulses. Its rigid hardware lattice at AIS holds memories and learns. Those thoughts can exceed the number of atoms in the universe. Ankyrin-G manipulates these thoughts and controls brain activity. The process allows the nervous system to recognize objects, events, and our own selves. Known biological facts can explain consciousness, the ghost in the system, and the brilliance and folly of the mind as neurological processes. Pattern recognition by Ankyrin-G provides the key.